Joy, peace, tranquility, vibrancy, and wellness. Isn't this what you want instead of constant stress? That's what host Rochelle Lawson is going to help you with on Blissful Living. There are many ways to reduce stress, some you may not even know about. Doesn't a little peace and tranquility sound like just what you've been looking for? Relax for a few minutes with Rochelle. She's the queen of feeling fabulous.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blissful Living. This is the queen of feeling fabulous, Rochelle Marie Lawson, and I have a great show for you today. If you had any curiosity about emotional intelligence or living basically the life that you thought you may have wanted to live when you were younger and somehow just kind of didn't work out that way, or if you just want to experience a really educational and learning system as to how you can make your life better, possibly utilizing the mind as your map, then you want to definitely stay tuned. And I invite you to grab a chair, your favorite beverage, some paper, and something to write with, because if you've been listening to this show, you know this show is always full of nuggets of gold that we can utilize in our life immediately after the show. In fact, you don't even have to wait until the show is over with. You can begin using the nuggets of gold immediately while you're listening to this show. And this show is not going to be any different. My guest is going to share with us some wonderful information, basically to help us have a better journey as we travel down our path to bliss. But before I get into that and before I tell you about the guest, I want to thank our sponsors. The first one I want to thank is Blissful Living for You. It's a holistic lifestyle company focused on building and sustaining wellness, wisdom, and wealth. And if you have any areas within those three pillars that you would like to explore, that you would like to improve, or that you just are curious about, you want to check out Blissful Living for You at blissfullivingforyou.com. They have a lot of great things going on, and I'm sure you'll be able to find something that will help you improve some aspect of your life as you travel, as I like to say, down your path to bliss. The next sponsor I want to thank is All Day Cable Incorporated, a network distribution telecommunication installation company located in the very heart of Silicon Valley. They've been in business for 30 years, and what they do is phenomenal work when it comes to us communicating telephonically or telecommuting. They install voice, data, fiber optic, wireless systems. They do audio, video, speaker systems. They are your one-stop shop when it comes to your telecommunications, and they can set up the backbone of your network distribution. So if you're in need of some add moves or changes, as they like to say, or you need a whole new building wired to specs that take you beyond today's technology, then I highly suggest that you check out All Day Cable Inc. Incorporated at alldaycableinc.com. And forgive me, guys, I'm sorry, my voice is just a little funny. I don't know what's going on, but I want to apologize for all the throat clearing that I may be doing, because I don't know what's going on. It might just be something in the air, or maybe I'm not as hydrated as I should be. So I'm going to apologize to you right now. So if you hear me clearing my throat, please don't take offense to it. It's just I'm super excited and passionate about our guest. And so let's dive into the show. So this segment is, I want you guys to be prepared to take away 5 keys that you can utilize to take charge of your life. And our guest today is going to share with us this information, which is going to amaze you. Her name is Christina Reeves, and she's a holistic life coach, energy psychologist, accomplished author, speaker, and facilitator. She offers clinics, trainings, workshops, seminars, and lectures in North America and internationally. And Dimitrios Spanos co-founded the Eudaimonia Center with Christina Reeves, a learning center for transformational change, core healing, and personal development. he is a certified practitioner of 6 Seconds EQ and certified in heart initiation. And we're going to talk a little bit about their new book that they've put out called The Mind is the Map. Awareness is the compass, and emotional intelligence is the key to living mindfully from the heart. Ooh, doesn't that just make you feel warm and fuzzy? So I want to welcome Christina to the show. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm happy to be here with you on Blissful Living. I do love your mission, and you're obviously very passionate about the work that you do. I'm honored.
Thank you. I'm honored to have you, and I'm so excited because I've had your book, you and Demetrios, this book for a little bit, and been diving into it. And first of all, I love the cover. And you guys, I'm going to share we're going to have Christina share with you how you can get the book. But the cover is absolutely beautiful. It just
great. Yeah, our designer is in New Zealand. Our team is all over the world, actually. And
wow,
our
I've got some really, I got some really good friends that live in New Zealand. I call the wife my Kiwi sister because she's just amazing, and the husband is too. So I love the New Zealanders. But your book cover is just so beautiful. It really, really is beautiful. And so I'm just piquing curiosity because I want everybody to be like, "What is this book cover? I gotta go get that book."
Thanks a lot.
But I'm not kidding you guys. It is really cool. I mean, I almost want to buy another. I want to buy a book, buy another one, and get another copy, and then just like cut stuff out of the book and put it on my vision board because it's so symbiotic of how I think things are, and it's just in tune with me. But enough about being selfish and about me. Let's get into the book and let's get into the message. So, first of all, how did you get into doing the work that you do? How did you? I don't know if you could speak for Demetrios, but how did you, Christina, get involved with the work that you're doing?
Rochelle, I was an entrepreneur most of my life, and according to some others, I was a workaholic. Many others told me that.
I haven't heard that one at all.
Yeah, right. Sometimes we avoid feeling things fully. We go through life pushing away any unpleasant memories and emotions based on those experiences. And we end up indulging in a particular behavior pattern. Well, my drug of choice was burying myself in my busyness. I left no time for anything else, including myself. And 12 years ago, I made a complete shift in my purpose and my way of showing up for life, and I made a conscious choice to change my lifestyle to something more than commerce, simply for commerce being the bottom line. I built 3 very medium-sized companies, but all of them did very well. So I went back to school for 4 years and did my training, and as you said, I have a clinic and training facility here in Toronto, Canada. Dimitri, my co-author, and I have just recently opened another facility in New York City called the Eudaimonia Center.
Oh, wow. So I did say it right, eudaimonia. That sounds almost like a nasty word to say, like orgastic.
It's a Greek word, actually.
Right? It's beautiful. I love the way it flows in my mouth.
Yeah.
And, it's like, so like exotic, but that's
it's a
beautiful.
Very ancient word, yes, and it means happiness at a soul level. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I was just going to ask you, what does it mean? So you two opened up this center in Toronto as well as in New York. And
I've had mine going in Toronto for quite a while. So the new one is in New York, yes.
So is it in New York, like Manhattan, New York, or? Okay, cool. So now let's dive into, because I want to share so much, and I'm the type of person, I'll start talking and I get really so intrigued and involved and want to know so much that I'll just talk your head off and then, get off track, so to speak. But I really want to stay on track. I promised myself I was going to do it this time. So let's see if I can do it. I want to ask you, with regards to this phenomenal work that you two are doing in the center, can you just share a little bit about the work that goes on at the center? that you guys founded, the centers, I should say, because it's two of them that you founded?
Well, I'm a teacher and trainer of other holistic life coaches, and wrote for actually textbooks, for teaching this, and I've been teaching it now for about 9 years. And what I did was use the same processes that I used to heal myself, basically. And I've had an interest in the mind since I was 16 years old. Why do people do what they do? Of course, that's from a dysfunctional family. But always fascinated, why do people do what we do? And not only that, why do they keep doing it?
Right.
So I really wanted to dive into how we create our reality. Rochelle, most of us would like to live happier, healthier lives. And in order to improve our reality, we need to understand the mechanisms of its creation. So I really dove into the workings of the mind quite a bit. Most of us feel that things simply happen in our life, or that we just feel this way or that way. But very few of us actually understand how our reality is created.
Oh, wow.
I think that was the start for me. And the truth is that we create our own reality by the way we interpret and react to events in the ways that I mentioned above there. And there's a reason for this. Many of our problems are simply the result of our mistaken identity. And to do that, we have to look at how our beliefs were installed in us, for example. Everything is about perception, as you know.
Right.
It's not in the data. Our eyes are just an organ. We don't see the data. We see through our perception, and our perception, of course, is our belief. And it's the one reality that everyone's ignoring. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people don't know about it.
Right, right.
And so I call this the writing on our wall. We are born with I would say we're born with an operating system, let's put it that way. We have mobility, we have eyes and ears, and we can move around, and we can make noises, and so on and so forth. But we really don't have a database, okay? There is... we come in with a blank slate, I guess is what I'm saying. And from the ages of 0 to 7 years old, we pick up everything that fills our database from our surroundings and our environment. We are working in different brain states, and the EEG activity shows us that from 0 to 2 we're in delta, which is sort of a sleeping unconsciousness. 2 to 6 we're in imagination and reverie. That's a theta mode. And it's not till we get over 6 years old that we move into an alpha mode, 6 to 12, which is more of a calm consciousness. We have a few more spindle cells in our brain, and our spindle cells are what gives us discernment. Now, these brain states, when we look at the way the brain operates, this is the biology of the brain, these brain states are a logical necessity during those formative stages of our life as a child. As I said, the mind can't operate from a blank slate. There's no database. It requires a working database of learned perceptions. So consequently, before we can go about life expressing consciousness, the brain has to acquire a working awareness. Now,
so it's almost like our brains. It's like back in the day, and then you probably can remember. I don't know for sure, but back in the day, I'm going to say back in the I'm going to take it to maybe 1980 and 80. In the computer industry, I'm from Silicon Valley, so the computer industry was not like it is today. Computers were still really big, monstrous things, and all the data had, just like today, but now all the data is pretty much in there. But, all the data had to be inputted into complete this brain, so to speak. So the operating processes, you could put something in and the operating processes could begin to figure it out. Remember when the big old computers, again, Silicon Valley, it has tainted me, but remember the big old computers, I'm going to say like IBM, and they were the size of the room, and they put those little punch card things in, and you put the punch card thing in it, and then on the other side, it goes through this whole mechanical type of thing, and on the other side, the punch card came out with the answers. It's like
the punch card. Yes.
Right, I'm really dating myself, right? So it's almost like what you're saying is when we are born, of course we have nothing. We're a blank slate. And during these different periods of our time, as I want to say, as a child and, almost up into adolescence, we develop we come into these different states as we begin to fill our database with information. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Now let's look at both sides of the mind. We have the subconscious and we have the conscious. So the subconscious mind, is where all of these records and perceptual experiences are stored. And it's only an information processor. Let's keep going with the computer analogy here. And it's only an information processor. So all it can do, it doesn't do any thinking. All it does is forever play everything back to us at the push of a button like a tape recorder. So this information has been recorded indiscriminately, from the words and actions of others. And there's no shame or blame there because they were no doubt programmed by many of the same limiting beliefs that they passed on to us. It's interesting that we only become aware of our mind button-pushing programs, if you want to say, when somebody does push our buttons, and of course, but what's amazing about this, and here's the real crunch here, it's such an awesome data processing capacity. The subconscious mind can interpret and respond to over 40 million nerve impulses a second. Think about that. That's a bandwidth and a speed that's incredible. And the conscious mind can only process 40 nerve impulses per second. So this means as an information processor, the subconscious mind is 1 million times more powerful than the conscious mind. So that means when we get triggered by something, we've got only 6 seconds to step into a spot that I call awareness, in the book that we cover this, before we're hijacked. And once the mind is hijacked, there's no input from the conscious mind. There's like a little sentinel, a little membrane that comes down there, and the mind goes into overwhelm, the subconscious mind, or we go into overwhelm, while the body is trying to send us different chemicals and so on and so forth to help us cope with the overwhelm. Nothing new is coming in. So if you're in the middle of a discussion with someone and you get triggered, if you're not stepping into awareness and this other person has already gone into overwhelm, it doesn't matter what you say. No information is going to get to him. Nothing is going to go through. You're best to back off, step back, let it cool down, and come back and revisit it when the overwhelm is over. There is no new information. There's no pathway for new information to get through. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, I'm gonna say, yes.
I think we all have.
Yes, I have. Yeah, it's like I was just thinking of something that happened with me yesterday, and it was, it's like you heard the saying, I go from 0 to 100 like that, right?
Yeah.
So so it's like, luckily for me, I was able to realize what was happening, and then it was really interesting because then it piqued my curiosity as to why is this happening? Why am I reacting like this? It's nothing. It has nothing to do. My response shouldn't have anything to do with what someone else said, but it triggered something. And generally, my understanding is because, those formative years of 0 to 12, we're just like this little sponge absorbing and watching and learning and grasping everything that we see that happens around us. It generally, for me, takes me, I guess I go back to where I'm 7, I don't know. and then if there's something that happened that has led me to respond sometimes not the best way as an adult.
Absolutely. We follow habitual. Exactly.
Right.
Here's what's going on, just so I can give you some clarity there, okay? So you got triggered. So something happened. Now, when you get triggered like that, we know it's never about the other. 100%, it's never, ever, ever about the other. We're the only one in our mind. So we're getting triggered. So we have to immediately say to ourselves, okay, what is it within me that got triggered right now, and try to go back to your earliest memory. When the subconscious mind, when we store things in the subconscious mind, what happens is, number one, the experience itself as a child between 0 and 7 years old is stored. Now that we understand quantum mechanics and quantum physics a lot more than we did 20 years ago, we understand now that there are bundles and string theories. So not only is that not only is the experience stored, the emotion we had as a child is bundled with it. And on top of that, the childhood conclusion that we came to at 4 or 5 years old, however, misconstrued that was from a 4-year-old's point of view, it gets bundled with it. So when we get triggered and the mind looks for the template, or the neural pathway, it goes, oh, I know, we've done this before, and we'll go down this road, okay? It's actually following the path road of the 4-year-old or the 5-year-old if we don't intervene. So the conscious mind, or the subconscious mind, controls every single behavior that's not attended to by the conscious mind, which is just about everything that happens in present time.
Wow.
For most of us, the conscious mind, our conscious mind, is so preoccupied about the past and the future as some imaginary problem, that we tend to leave the day-to-day, moment-to-moment task to the subconscious. So neuroscientists have concluded that the conscious mind contributes to only 5% of our cognitive activity. This means that the subconscious mind is controlling our decisions, our actions, our emotions, and our behaviors. You're exactly right. That's exactly what happens.
Wow. That's very interesting. You would think as you progress, right, that you would be able to, one, curtail the trigger because you know it's happening, and two, instead of going down that worn path that feels so comfortable, you go down the other path, right? You would think at my age or any,
you got only 6 seconds. You just have 6 seconds. That's how quickly it happens. So, no shame, no blame. I learned that people do what they do based on what I call the writing on the wall. And that's a phrase that I use continually in the book to describe that downloaded information and programming that's recorded on the subconscious mind. And we check that writing on the wall, Rochelle, for every experience, just like a tape machine with the tracks. The tracks on the subconscious mind are what we call neural pathways. I sometimes call them templates. So when we have that experience, what I just explained before, the subconscious mind checks the programming on the wall for a similar past experience. In 6 seconds it does this. And it says, oh, yeah, we know what to do here, and off we go and we do the same thing, often with even our awareness. So 95% of the time we're habitually reacting. We're taking action or performing some kind of behavior to every experience based on that automatic programming. Like, for instance, we don't need to learn how to drive a car anymore. Once we learn how to drive a car, when we first get in and we put the key in and we adjust our mirrors when we're first learning, we're nervous, right? But after a while, we regulate this to the subconscious mind, and it becomes habitual and automatic. Okay, here's the question of the hour, okay? So who's controlling the subconscious programs? There's no entity. No entity to control those subconscious programs. It's the mind, not the brain, that tells the body what to do. It's the mind. So you can self-talk.
Yeah.
You can try self-talking using, reason to communicate and try to change your subconscious, and it's just going to have the same effect as if you were standing in front of a jukebox and yelling at it and screaming at it and banging out, play that tune, play that tune. Nothing's going to happen. There's no entity. There's no mechanism to respond to our dialogue.
So I'm gonna play like a little devil's advocate. So, we have people out there for everywhere. So how would you answer this question? Or for those of you guys out there that are thinking, well, my brain is my mind or my mind is my brain, what do you say to those people? And I should be able to control, I should be able to
brain is the
control
organ.
and stop that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The brain is the organ. The information is not stored on the organ. It's stored in the mind, both the conscious mind and the subconscious mind.
Wow.
Living a
so
life
cool.
Living a life of completeness and wholeness, okay, I know that this is what you promote on your programs and is your passion. It requires us to find the source of our emotions and to transform our wounds so that we can discover our true potential. So caring for our soul requires that we become sensitive to any parts that are rough, including the writing on the wall. So it needs to be examined. So our thoughts come from, I guess what I'm saying is that if we want to be happy, we're going to need to transcend that automatic, habitual, mechanical, emotional reactions. We need to understand why we react in certain ways with fear or anger, and only then can we begin to free ourselves from these undesirable emotional responses. Otherwise, we're not free. We'll continue to be under the control of the programming of our childhood. Now, the new science of neuroplasticity tells us we can change the neural pathways. They can be ripped up. Ripped up meaning that if we don't use, I've got the same problem as you today, a sore throat.
I know. What's going on? I don't know.
I'm going to drink some water here.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we no longer use a neural pathway, the brain, in this case, not the mind, is going to say, well, that's useless. We're not using that anymore. So it erases that and puts up new neural pathways. So this happens all the time, it can be done, but it requires us to take a look at our programs. It requires us to see our programming and to understand what that writing on the wall is all about, so we don't get, and to step in that place that we call awareness. We call it awareness, so that we don't get hijacked. So let's talk about. Am I okay to keep talking here? Do you have questions?
Yeah. You know what? I wanted to ask you with regards to programming ourselves, or I would say reprogramming ourselves, right?
Yes.
Several things you talk about in the book, and in different tools that actually are very. The word that comes to my mind. That's funny. The word that comes to my mind is soothing. But the tools are very soothing, and as I was reading the book and going through it, it's like it's stuff that I do, and it was just easy for me to put it in a logical thought process for me to understand how to use the tools in the book to better myself for those around me, and to have a better journey and a better experience as I travel down my path to bliss. So I know you talk about, I know you have this abundance of information with regards to, our neural pathways. And you said one word, and I don't want to neglect to have you explain what this word is, because everybody's not into this stuff like us or know this kind of stuff. But you mentioned the word neuroplasticity. Can you, for the listeners, just give them a brief definition as to what that is, so as we continue our conversation, if that comes up, they have they have an understanding of what we're talking about and how they can apply the information you're sharing in their life.
Okay. Neuroplasticity was, it's come to the forefront over the last 20 years. And when it first came out, science was sort of rejecting it. But the new experiments and the new tests in the last 10 years are showing us that, indeed, the mind is not hardwired. So there's no such thing as having a pattern that you can't change. You just can't be born with that, and you don't have to live with that for your entire life. What we know now is that whatever we pay attention to has stickability in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't pay attention to that anymore, okay, and we train ourselves with a new thought process, then that old part of the brain, those cells will just die off, and the new one will take hold. This is what neuroplasticity is all about,
Okay. And, so there you have it, listeners.
So I'm really, the book and our teachings and our training is really on the cutting edge of, new science that we didn't have 50 years ago. We didn't have the equipment to be measuring these things in the brain, This is all great stuff. We're learning more about ourselves. So
it
when
really
you get
is.
yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Christina.
There's something that, I'll call it a logic patch if you want, because it's only a patch. It's not going to clear and erase and replace the writing on the wall, but it's a quick fix, okay, when you find yourself getting triggered a lot and, and responding a lot with anger or sadness or any of those things, okay? So I call this we need to step into awareness. There are 3 aspects of every human experience. The first thing we want to do when we find ourselves on that cycle, for goodness sake, stop pedaling, okay? Step back, okay? Even take a physical step back if you need to remind yourself. And then I want you to project the experience on just a whiteboard in front of you in your mind, okay? So step back and look at the experience. There are 3 parts to every experience. There's the experiencer, which is you, okay? There's the object of the experience, which is, okay, this is this, that's what we're dealing with here. And then there's how it's processing. How are we processing the experience? The confusion is going to clear the moment we realize what is happening in the experience is the consequences of our developmental program. And the same is true with the other. So when you step back like that and observe those 3 aspects to every human experience, we call it being the observer or being the witness, okay? You'll find that it's almost laughable because you'll be looking at yourself, at the experiencer, and you'll be looking and go, God, did I really say that? Oh, no, look at what happened to him when I said that. Or what happened to her. Oh, look at her face. I hurt her. You know what I'm saying? Step back. And then there's sometimes when you're looking at the experience, you may decide that the object of the experience actually has nothing to do with you. So why are you even jumping in that soup? We get a lot of different perspectives just by using the awareness process.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really, really like that.
Awareness is the mechanism through which we know and feel things, okay? And it should be the foundation of our actions and our reactions and our decision making. So we can use this to assist ourselves in the discovery process of what's going on and even what's written on our walls.
Wow. So that kind of helps us to understand a little bit more about for one, why certain things trigger us to go from 0 to 100. And then 2, what we can do. Yep. Yeah. 2, what we can do to actually, I like the word hijack. That we could actually hijack our normal way that we would normally respond. We could actually hijack that. And have an opportunity to choose a different or better response by using the 3-step process. I love that.
Absolutely.
I mean, the whole
That's exactly it.
Of the whole, the more you do something, you read it, it's like at the kinetics, you hear it, you see it, you read it, you taste it, you do it, really solidifies everything within a person, right? So the fact that, and this is for all of you guys out there listening, Christina just gave this nugget of gold, and I'm honing in on it because I know it's going to work for me. And sometimes I do have a tendency to go from 0 to 100 with just like something that triggers something that makes me angry, and it generally goes back to something that happened to me when I was a kid, whether I wasn't listened to, I wasn't heard, I wasn't able to speak, I wasn't, something to that effect that just made me angry. Generally, that's what happens, right? So I'm able to now step into the process of the 3-step process and physically take that step back. And for me, that's going to trigger me it triggers me inside to tell my neural pathways in my body, my mind, my brain, that I have an opportunity to make a different choice, to make a better choice than to go down that well-worn path that I've been going down before that doesn't work. So I love that actual physicality of stepping back, but not only stepping back, but physically taking that step back to help trigger you to make to have a better response. And
it puts you in awareness. Absolutely.
That's a huge nugget of gold.
So when we're in that space, we can see what our needs are. We can see what the other's needs are. We can see what our attachments are and what they're attached to. We can see our beliefs. All of these things keep us stuck in our patterns. They interfere with a more favorable outcome. What you just said right now is the ability to make a different choice based on what you see by using that process, okay? And, and in the book, in the workbook is being released in April, and you'll actually see that we've included a possible needs list, some common behavior patterns. We've included some, possible attachments and beliefs in there that really will help you. There's a lot in the end of every chapter, where we're asking you to to join with another, to do some journaling, to do some active listening with other people, encouraging them to tell their story, and reflect with your friends or your partners on your story and discuss any missed opportunities to recognize a pattern or how you might have chose a better response when you got triggered. Absolutely.
Love it. I love it. Also, you talk about our life force energy, and I'm very much so into energetics and energy and reading energy, sensing energy. It's just something I've been doing since I was a little kid. I want to say it probably started at the age of 4, and it probably was something that I developed to protect myself in my environment, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just learned to read certain situations or like the feel of the energy in the room or whatever. But I know there's something in the book, and it says so many people today are chasing success and sacrificing their time, their relationships, and their sanity to get there at any cost. And sometimes they don't even have a definition of what they're truly looking for in success, right? At any cost, without even considering the cost of their life force energy. What would you say to someone that is on that path but is out of touch with their energy and their life force?
Wake up. Nature's intelligence. Just look around you at nature. Go for walks. Nature's intelligence functions with effortless ease, harmony, and love. We need to learn how to harness that life force energy. Our life force energy is the universal energy. If we really want to create success and good fortune, and we can, using the same effortless ease, using our conscious awareness. Everything in the universe is made of energy. And the universal laws of physics tell us that like energy attracts like energy.
Right.
So we must become an energetic vibrational match to what it is that we want to attract in our experience, and follow the laws of least effort that nature teaches us. We'll learn to accept people as they are, accept situations as it is. Don't go to the past, don't go to the future. Accept your circumstances and events as they're occurring in your life. We are energy beings. All humans are energy beings. Every part of us is made of energy particles, and that means every organ, cell, bone, fiber, membrane, and we're an intricate and complicated combination of pure energy, and we need to pay attention to that. Do you know that, let's look at a few emotions and what they vibrate at here.
Yes.
The highest energetic vibration, would be 700 and above, and that's really enlightenment. The lowest one is shame, and you vibrate at shame. Can you imagine if you're vibrating at shame, everything you're going to attract to you with the law of attraction at shame, it's down to 20. Okay. These depletions and imbalances come about as a result of physical and psychological factors. Our thoughts are what create our emotions. We need to pay attention to what we're thinking about. If you're thinking unhappy, for example, unhappy vibrates at the same vibrational frequency as the liver. So everything that, if you're unhappy, your liver starts attacking itself. The cell, it's stored there, and it starts attacking itself. Okay, so being so you're actually hurting not only your psychological self but your physiology.
Right.
Absolutely. And to neutrality, somewhere in the middle is 250. But underneath that, we have vanity, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt. We've got a long way to go. We need to be able to balance each level of energy vibration. Hold your own particular resonance made of your physical energy. And the problem is that some people are creating with conscious awareness of this process, and others are creating their thoughts and thinking their thoughts, and they're living life unconsciously. To live a conscious life is to become aware of our own thoughts, our actions, and our deeds. We need to raise our life force energy. We need to, the match for the universe is love. The universe vibrates at the energetic vibrational footprint of love, which is 500. So imagine how far you're away. If you're in fear, you're at 100.
Right.
And it can take lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of to evolve maybe 2 or 3 points on that scale. The process of evolution takes thousands of years.
Thousands of years, right. And
absolutely.
I like
I
like how you mentioned with regards to us being really an energy force. I don't think people really understand the grasp of that. The energy. We are our own powerhouse, so to speak. When I think of that, and it just ties into just me, how I live my life, what I think or whatever, and me just being a nurse for so many years. People forget that your heart has electrical conductivity to it, and the only way you can jumpstart a dead heart, like a dead battery, is you got to give it an electrical charge. Now, if we weren't full of energy, we wouldn't. Why would we need to jumpstart anything with electricity, right? So it just brings the full circle that you guys listening to us have this conversation, that you are energy. You are composed. You're an energetic matter. I know we know we're physical matter as well, but that physical matter is composed of energy, and there's all kind of chemical processes, like little explosions that happen within us that go on every second, and we don't even know about. And I think if we pay more attention to just how we feel energetically. Some mornings you wake up, you feel like, oh, I want to kick ass today. I'm going to kick ass today. And then the morning you feel like, I don't even want to get out of bed. I mean, I have those days like, oh, bring it on. I'm feeling like Wonder Woman back in the 70s with my gold boots on and my gold bracelets and standing 6'1", like, you know, the lady that played Wonder Woman. However, there's days where I feel like I'm too, and I don't want to get out of bed, and my energy is just, you know, but I do it, and I know how to get my energy going. I know what to do, but I think people really need to pay more attention about that. I want to ask you this: how does our ego play in all of this? Because, you know, in psychology, and you know, you have the conscious, the subconscious, and then the ego and the id and the super id and all this stuff. But our ego is always like, I want to say, it's like our main hijacker, right?
Absolutely. That's the voice in the head. You know, we call it, you know, we have the writing on the wall, and then we have our inner critic, and the ego is definitely our inner critic. Now, how do you lay down a new neural pathway? Okay, here's what you do.
Yes.
Everything is energy. Be careful what you think. Your thoughts are energy. Your words are energy. And we know from quantum mechanics that nothing moves unless there's an observer. Energy moves with intention. So if you say something to someone, you can actually hurt their physicality, not just hurt their feelings. You can hurt their physicality, you know, their physical self. If you're thinking bad things about someone, it's another form of energy in motion, okay? These people are going to feel that. You know, on one level, they're going to feel it on an egoic level or whatever, but in the body, they're going to feel it as well. It's going to be like an attack on their body. So we need to be careful, you know, what we think about and what we say. Another important thing about thinking, if you think and you're angry for 1 hour, you started off with an energy field, okay, like a little cloud, like Joe Blitz thinks, where it has this little cloud over his head. So you'll have a small cloud of anger, you know, floating above you energetically, okay? If you continue 1 hour of anger, you have multiplied that field by 10 times.
Oh, my goodness.
You have multiplied that energetic field, and if you do it for a whole day, you're going to end up in a whole bubble of this energy, and it's going to be tough for you to get out of. You're really going to be in overwhelm, and yet you've created the whole thing. We create our own reality. Stop doing that.
Oh, my gosh.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, my gosh. Wow. The visualization was great, you know, with the little joke.
Yeah, the thoughts and mind are not the same thing. Thoughts are things, you know, and thoughts are action. And the moment you have a thought, you've created an action. Just like the spoken word is a thing. The moment you speak, you've created an action.
Right. And you can't
just
that,
as if you did a deed in action. They're creative actions that create the energy of your being. And you can send them wherever you want. So we need to use our willpower to change our thoughts.
Wow.
And the basis for changing our thoughts is our belief system, and that's what's sitting on the wall. That's why the writing on the wall is important. The first supporting thought you ever had on that issue or any issue is always the basis of that is an early belief system, a childhood belief system between 0 and 7.
Wow.
Did we learn lots tonight?
Wow. I mean, amazing. It kind of, you know, you're taking me back to nursing school, psychology, I don't know, 205. I don't know what the class was, but it was really cool. I loved the whole psychology thing when I was doing my studies for nursing. And I really haven't thought about it. You know, once I graduated and got my degrees or whatever, you know, that gets filed in the, you know, in the drawer in the basement, so to speak. But it's really interesting because it applies to everything we do in life and everyone we interact with, even when we're interacting with, you know, our conscious, subconscious, and ego. It applies to everything. And so just having this conversation and bringing it to the forefront and awareness, not only of just me and you having this conversation, but to all of those people out there listening to us, we have started a a chain reaction. I want to say like a combustible reaction, whereas you just implanted or you just said something that I picked up on. It was like, oh, wow. And then, I picked up on it, so then I'm shooting that energy to someone, and they're picking it up. It's like this domino effect. It's like the little, you turn on white light bulb, and it just starts to trickle around. You can see those commercials. Okay, I'm dating myself, but you would see those commercials back in the day where they would, I don't know what the commercial was, but I just remember them turning on a light or having a candle, and then all of a sudden another person shares their light with the next person's candle.
Yeah.
And
it goes on
the whole,
and on.
Yeah.
Like Greek Easter.
I think that's what you just did, at least for me, because the whole visualization of the little man or woman with the cloud, and I was like, I actually had an experience today where I was quite pissed. I mean, it was just like, again, when I'm listening to you talk, it was my thought of what someone said to me and the way I received that information that made me angry, and then I was holding on to it. I wasn't really trying to do anything. I was just going about my day working, but I was holding on to it, and I probably held on to it for longer than an hour because I kept shoveling it down and it kept resurfacing. And so here I'm thinking, oh, shoot, Rochelle, today you walked around with this cloud of anger over you, and if you would have just acknowledged it, and say, okay, I hear you, I see you, whatever, and let it go, do the 3-step process, it wouldn't have been floating around with you for so long. But the fact that you allowed it or didn't know how to release it or whatever, it floated around and it magnified 10 times. Oh, my gosh. And I'm thinking, what did I do to my body? When you have that energy, everything clamps down in your body. So, of course, my cardiovascular system started clamping up, all my my digestive system. It's just all this. Your processes respond to what you feel, what you think, your energetic level. I mean, it's just, oh, my gosh. Christina, girl.
Absolutely. We react to these We react to these situations in both external and internal ways. We might withdraw from the experience or, push other people away. We may live in denial, of what we feel and what's happening. That was my pattern. I didn't feel anything for me. I felt everything for everyone, but I never really thought about myself.
Right.
Some people become sarcastic, or they nag or they complain. It's important, though, to remember that our reactions then become triggers for the others' emotional mechanisms. So, sometimes when you're in that place of awareness as the observer and you're looking at you in the experience and the other in the experience and how that's processing, what you're really seeing is two triggers having an argument. And neither one of them are to blame because it's both coming from the writing on their wall. People do what they do. So it's laughable. You can stand back there and look at it, and I guarantee you're going to do it with a sense of curiosity and a sense of humor that you're going to end up laughing at these situations. This happens more often.
That's funny
not,
because you've given us the tool to be able to do that. Right now, I can guarantee you. I will not text you, I'll email you or whatever, but I will guarantee you that now, the moment I feel myself becoming angry, I'm going to think, for one, I'm going to get that visualization of that little woman with the cloud, and then I'm going to be like, and that's going to trigger me to become aware and do the 3-step process, and then the first step is to step back, right? So it's like, this is like been very therapeutic for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I've got a ton of nuggets of gold just in that fact by not being able to allow or by curtailing or hijacking myself from doing that, right? I do so much good for myself and for those that, I may be projecting energy to. My body gets it better in alignment. I'm not operating at those lower levels. I'm able to stay balanced or a higher level. I'm not causing my body
to... We should be taught this in schools. Really ignoring your life force energy can be really dangerous to your health. It can cause us to be ill. It can keep us in illness. It can cause us to stay in relationships too long or get stuck in a job that doesn't quite feel right. When we start to increase our life force energy, you have to ask yourself, this is one question I always ask. What am I pretending not to know? Just sit with that question. Just leave it there as an open-ended question.
Wow.
And once you get your answer, and it will come to you, once you get your answer, be bold enough to listen to it and take action. What am I pretending not to know?
Pretending not to know. Wow. That's huge.
That really, really works, you know. And
oh my goodness. Wow.
We really have to remember that we're creating our own reality. Whatever negative things you're currently experiencing, something about your way of being, initially welcome them in. Remember physics, okay? Like energy attracts like energy. So what am I pretending not to know? Okay.
Wow, Christina. I just looked at the time. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, I had more questions. I was like, oh, and I can't even answer because that was typing. Oh my gosh, that time went by so fast. So, Christina, please share with the listeners, and thank you so much and this has just been phenomenal. It's just like, I'm literally got like so many more questions.
Oh, I'm so happy you liked it.
I love it. It's been very therapeutic for me, and I didn't have to spend thousands of dollars to get the help.
That's right. The world of psychology is changing. It's no longer taking 10 years to fix something. Now that we know and we're working with energy, we can go there. Yeah.
You know what's so cool about just the way medicine is working today? I mean, in my mind, there's still a lot to go with. But when I became a nurse 30 years ago, things were so different. And, there was nobody. I was doing holistic stuff. People thought I was weird, right? There was no holistic integration into helping people to take care of themselves or the whole mind, body, spirit connection and how, none of and now that's coming to the forefront in a lot of physicians. When I used to talk about it when I was, way young, 30 years ago, I used to talk about it. People thought I was crazy or like, I'm from California, so it's like, oh, what are you smoking, that green stuff, right? I'm like, no.
Right. That's right.
It's like,
I had a doctor recently tell me, honestly, I had a bit of vertigo, and he says, oh, one of the crystals that are, in your head over by your ear. I said, you telling me as a doctor I have crystals in my head? He said, yeah, we're energy beings, and I could have hugged him. They're waking
you almost want
up.
to fall out, right? It's like, I think people are starting to get it. Of course, it's a slow process, and I'm sure when I'm 130, we will be well more evolved beings. But right now, it's just great to see some of these things being integrated into helping people to take better care of themselves, to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, so to speak. And it's just beautiful. But, okay, so, Christina.
I give thanks to all those pioneers that are on that cutting edge who have led the way for us. People will understand it more and more and more as we come. The thing is, be curious about it. Just don't say no. Be curious about it enough to look in. You're going to find many concepts, methodologies, and processes that are going to assist you on your path to creating your new story in our new book, transformative book, called The Mind is the Map. And it's available as an ebook, paperback, audiobook, hard copy. As I mentioned earlier, we're announcing the workbook in April. At the end of every chapter, there's a self-help section that will help you with journaling that asks you some pretty deep questions, like what are you pretending not to know?
I love that.
And just lots of good stuff, celebrating your milestones. Connect with us on themindisthemap.com.
Okay, so you guys, I highly recommend. First of all, it's beautiful. I mean, it's The Mind is a Map. You need to get The Mind is the Map. Go and get this book. Connect with Christina on the website. Now, Christina, are you, other than, your center, are you guys doing any workshops or are you speaking anywhere?
Yes, we're doing workshops. We have a lot of classes up coming up on eudaimonia this season. I think we have 50 courses coming up. We are getting them accredited right now for extended education credits, and so that's a little bit of a hold up there. But do stay tuned both to Eudaimonia, and it's eudaimoniacenter.com or themindisthemap.com. And while you're there, join our forum. We have a lot of interesting topics that we discuss up there. It's a community place where you can share your comments and ideas and make some posts with us and other like-minded walkers of this path, I suppose. Yeah.
Wow.
So join us there.
Thank you so much. Yes. So I invite all of you to go to themindisthemap.com, get a copy of the book. You can Google Eudaimonia Center and find out about all of the wonderful things, workshops, engage with the community. I highly suggest you check it out. You know, back in, I want to say the 1700s is when they were burning the witches at the stake. It was stuff like this that, you know, if we were back then, we'd be burning. Because even though it's so helpful, so beneficial to humanity, those that don't understand it, that like back then, you know, women practicing herbal medicine or doing energetic stuff or even meditating were burned, were accused of being witches and were burned. You know, it's just amazing how things have come to fruition. So it's just beautiful. So with that being said, I highly recommend, again, that you go to themindisthemap.com, pick up a copy of the book, find out more about Christina and Demetrios. I love saying that name. It just allows me to roll my tongue. And she may not even pronounce it the way I say it, Spanios, but, you know, it just allows me to sound very exhausted.
Yeah.
You know.
The book's at Barnes & Nobles and on Amazon as well, so you can scoot over there if you want to. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Christina, so much. It's been very enlightening.
This has been a delightful interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
The natural way that it flowed, and you're a great interviewer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just two girls having a nice conversation.
Success.
Oh, thank you, and the same to you. That's beautiful. It's just like two girls having a conversation, right?
Yeah.
We're just two girls having a nice right, you know, a cup of tea or coffee or vodka martini, whatever, you know, the preference, but I like tea, so thank you. And before we go, I want to thank our sponsors, blissfullivingforyou.com. Please check them out, as well as alldaycableinc.com. And without you listeners, this would not be possible. I would not be able to get guests like Christina that has nuggets of gold that, like I said, can help us immediately transform our life to something we not only dream about, that we actually can step into and live as we travel down our path to bliss. So thank all of you for listening. Please share the show. Invite your friends, family, neighbors, relatives, people you love, like, and you don't like. Invite them to tune in and listen to the show, particularly this one, because I think it has a lot of information, simple to understand, but very easy to incorporate into our lives. And until next time, everyone, I'm wishing you peace to your mind, wellness to your body, and tranquility to your spirit. This is the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, Rochelle Marie Lawson, saying goodbye for now.
You can find out more about Rochelle on her website, Rochelle Lawson, Rochele Lawson, LAWSON, or at healthhealingwellness.com. Or just click on her websites from the webtalkradio.net page right in front of you. And, of course, you'll want to come right back here next week for another episode of Blissful Living. Thanks for joining us.